This is The Gorge. It's a podcast where my friend Sarah and I gorge ourselves on discussing what's happening in the world of video games.
That works. The Gorge is brought to you by Patreon. That's patreon.com/thegorge. We changed the format of this, or we're going to change the format of this. So please watch this space, because soon the way you can obtain That's Hell You're Walking Into, a podcast where I force Ben to stride into the smoking remains of Fuyuki in the aftermath of the Fourth Holy Grail War. The way you can obtain that will change soon, so sit tight.
Yeah, well,
this will change. Check back on Twitter next week.
Yeah, we'll have.
But if you want to be part of that hot newness, that freshness, again, that's patreon.com/thegorge. Thanks.
Awesome. And so what are we talking about this month?
This month, a lot of things happened, but today is the roundup.
Yes.
You saw the title. So we just do the same thing we always do. We talk about what we've been playing. Not a lot in my case. And then we talk about what happened in the news. Not like the big kid news, because
it's bad. The end.
It's all bad. The end. Thanks, guys. We instead talk about the fun news, where we mostly just dunk on Microsoft and sometimes Randy Pitchford, if we're lucky. But in the meantime, Ben, what have you been playing?
Okay, so I haven't been playing a whole lot because I've mostly been playing Ghost this month, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, that's September.
So instead, I watched a bunch of stuff.
Okay, hit me.
So I watched Transformers War for Cybertron.
That's the Netflix show, right?
Yes, the new Netflix one.
I forgot that came out. I actually told myself I was going to watch that because I thought it looked interesting. And then Twitter made it sound like it actually wasn't that interesting, so help me.
Okay, so first off, positives. I think it's really cool that all of the bots look like the toy, they're one for one the toys.
Yeah. That
are the new War for Cybertron toy line.
Sure.
Because for one thing, the War for Cybertron toy line looks really, really sharp.
Right, yeah, of course.
I have a bunch of them, and they all look really good.
Okay.
It is an interesting approach to Transformers.
Okay.
But it's got the Castlevania problem, where it is a dark new entry into this long-standing franchise. Full of intrigue and horror and more mature themes, but it's only 6 episodes long.
Oh, so you really can't get too deep into it yet.
Yeah, that's not really a lot of time to really establish anything. The problem with this is that okay, so I watched Transformers Prime.
Right.
And I watched Animated back in the day and stuff like that. And it's those shows do kind of set up what's going on. Mm-hmm. Optimus Prime meets a little human kid, and he's I'm Optimus Prime. I'm an Autobot. We're at war with the Decepticons.
Right.
These are my teammates, Bumblebee and Ratchet and Bulkhead, and
Sure.
Here's the premise, but okay, so you know how in a lot of shows you'll get as you know, we've been fighting so and so for this long.
Yeah.
War for Cybertron doesn't do that.
Oh.
They
don't really try to establish anything? It
really just expects you to know who Optimus Prime and Bumblebee are.
I guess that kind of tracks, though, because I think, everybody knows who... I know who Optimus Prime and Bumblebee are.
And, that's true, but it's also, because this is, a brand new continuity, they change some roles. Bumblebee isn't an Autobot in this one. He's, a merc that gets hired to do, some odd jobs, and then he bails on the Autobot cause.
Oh.
Because Prime's join me, and he's nah.
Oh.
I'm good.
Oh, okay. Well, alright, that's different.
Which doesn't really work because they don't do a good job of establishing, this new Bumblebee compared to what you expect Bumblebee to act like.
Right, okay.
And again, they only have 6 episodes to really flesh out some of these introduction characters. And
so is it getting another season?
Yeah, well, the toy line has 3 phases. It's got Siege, which is the fall of Cybertron.
Sure.
It's got Earthrise, which is presumably their go to Earth, because everyone in the Earthrise toy line has Earth alt modes.
Oh, okay.
So you can expect they'll probably go to Earth.
Sure.
And then the 3rd phase got leaked, which is Kingdom, which has Beast Wars characters.
Ooh, okay, fun.
So I don't know how that's going to work, but it's like it's because this is such like a darker version of Transformers. Mm-hmm. I'm curious to see what it's going to be like when they go to Earth.
Yeah.
Because like, how are the humans and kid characters going to act when they meet these new Autobots?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So yeah, it's not bad.
Right.
But it's definitely like very low energy because everyone's really tired about the war.
Right. Right. Okay.
So, I'll see if Earthrise is good, and then I'll say if people should watch it or not. But if you are like, I want a darker, more mature, grounded Transformers series, Transformers Prime is right there.
Oh, and
its CGI is a little bit weaker, but it's still pretty good.
Okay. That's fair.
What else did I do? I watched The Umbrella Academy.
Okay.
That's pretty good. I liked that a lot, actually.
Okay. Yeah, that's on the to watch list because I am a reformed emo kid and I love Gerard Way. You know, I love that man.
It's funny because when I first heard like it was getting a series, I went back and read the comics.
Right.
Which I enjoyed the comics, and I was like, how are they going to adapt this series into a live-action show? Like, just the art style and the overall, like, tone of the story really lended itself more to being, like, a cartoon, I felt. Yeah. But I was wrong. The show is really, really good.
Okay, cool. Right
it is better than the comic, I feel like.
Wow.
First season is pretty good. Second season is way better.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like it.
It's a bunch of like superpowered kids, right?
Yeah, it's basically what if the X-Men grew up and Professor Xavier was like an abusive father, but like actually canon and not like the subtext of X-Men.
Okay.
Because it's like in regular X-Men, it's like, wow, Xavier sucks, but it's like they didn't act like he sucked for the first 40 years of the comics. Right. Then they realize, wait a minute, he actually sucks.
We wrote this character who sucks. Oh no.
This one, it's like, yeah, the Professor Xavier, like, analog just sucks straight out.
Oh,
and so they're all a bunch of messed up adults who got their childhood robbed.
Okay. That sounds cool, actually.
Yeah, and they have to come together to save the world, but they all hate each other. It's great.
Fair. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that one's fun. Speaking of a bunch of superhero teenagers who hate each other, I'm also watching TMNT 2012 some more.
I won't stand this slander. I know enough about TMNT 12 vicariously through all of our text messaging that I'm like, I don't know about this one, man.
It's getting better. I'm almost done with season 1. The last like 3 episodes I watched have all been like really, really good. Like the quality just in general like accelerated.
Sure.
So I'm hoping like season 2 will be better.
Yeah.
But I'll let you know how that goes. Right now, it's just like, it's not Rise. It's not the same.
It's not Rise. Rise is really good. If you didn't see our 2-hour-long episode of us shrieking endlessly about how good Rise is. Yeah, and I mean, these are all conversation topics we've rehashed with each other, you know. Mm-hmm. But like, it's early 2010s CGI TV shows, not movies, CGI TV shows. Still not great.
No, they don't like
aesthetically.
Like
they just don't age well, and I see all these like character models, especially for the human characters. Oh no!
Oh my god, all the human characters in the show are terrible. Okay,
they're bad.
Like for real.
Like, what's wrong with their faces?
The only character designs I actually like are the Turtles and Splinter.
Sure, which is fair.
Everyone else looks really bad, and it's hard to get over sometimes.
It's really... I, like, Googled what some of the characters look like in 12, and I was like, am I really just gonna be that person who only likes a single entry in this franchise? Alright, I guess I've made peace with that. Yeah.
I am more curious to eventually get around to watching Batman vs. the Ninja Turtles.
Oh.
There was a movie that got put out, animated movie about that, which looks pretty good.
Okay.
So I'll let you know how that goes.
Sure.
Splinter cuts a guy's head off, so it's cool. Or not Splinter.
Hell yeah.
Shredder cuts a guy's head off, so it's cool.
Even better. Even better. We love bad shredders.
What else did I watch? I watched Giri Haji.
What's that?
Which is a show on Netflix. It was on the BBC first. It stands for, I think, Honor and Shame.
Okay.
It is about a detective in Tokyo who thinks his brother is dead and finds out he's alive because he killed the guy.
Oh, nice.
And
is it live action?
Yeah, live action. He committed a murder in London. So he has to go to London to help solve the crime, and there's Yakuza involved and mafia guys, and it's like a really like noirish, modern noir story.
Cool.
Really good. And then you realize that like none of the characters are good people. And you don't really care if like any of them succeed because you're like, wow, actually all these guys suck.
I don't know. I'm kind of into that kind of show though, where everybody sucks and you're not necessarily rooting for anyone. You're just kind of like, you're on board to see like which gutter all of these characters end up in.
That's
it's not
exactly it.
Yeah, it's not necessarily I want you to succeed. I just want to see how you fail. It's a very important distinction.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also shot really, really well.
Oh, okay.
Like, oh my god, some of the way the scenes are set up is just like spectacular.
Okay, that sounds cool, actually.
What
Anything else?
SGDQ happened.
SGDQ, I did not watch because it happened. It kind of happened out of nowhere. So I didn't watch it. I haven't even watched a single run from it yet. I haven't had time, but it happened, and also didn't have a crowd, which is
it was a little bit of a different experience.
Sure.
The energy was a little bit lower because you didn't have crowd chatter in the background. You didn't have cheering when cool things happened.
Yeah.
But to compensate, they had a lot more commentators. I feel like overall, like runs that would have normally been like one guy,
right,
usually had like 2 or 3 other people with him.
Oh, okay.
So you got a really nice sense of like camaraderie and stuff.
Right.
They did a Half-Life Alyx run.
I saw part of that. It looks bonkers.
Which could not be done like on a stage.
Right.
It was incredible.
It's the real life version of glitching through your school to graduate high school faster.
like straight up, he's like, okay, so I'm gonna crouch jump here, and then trick the game into thinking my height is where I'm physically crouched, and then I'm going to stand up, and the game's going to jump me through the ceiling, and it's like, what the fuck?
You gotta believe that like a Half-Life Alyx speedrunner is in incredible shape.
Oh, he was straight up doing like army drills.
Yeah, no, like you are fit as fuck if you are speedrunning Half-Life Alyx, which I respect. I mean, like, that's a better workout than like Wii Fit Adventure, Like, you're jumping around, running in place. Damn, good for you.
They also, I think they did like a Step It Up run.
Oh my god.
Which is also like, what? How do you do that faster? It's a song.
Sure. I guess you just blaze through it.
There were a couple of really like just solid runs. Like Sonic and Mario obviously always have good runs.
Sure.
Races and stuff like that I'm always interested in. A world record got set, but I can't remember which game got set.
Oh,
what's
man.
that was set from?
Okay.
So I gotta check that out.
Wow.
Yeah, overall it was kind of like a more low key.
Sure.
They didn't really raise as much as they normally do.
Yeah, but I mean that's part of like the GDQ atmosphere is like everybody's so like charged up that even people watching at home are like, you want to get into that atmosphere, like, vicariously. So without that, it's a little bit harder. Plus, I mean, like, a lot of people just don't have jobs right now.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's less money to throw around.
They did a their requisite Zelda 64 run this year was a randomizer co-op. I lied to you. I did watch a little bit of that now that I think about it. I still don't know how that works. I don't know either. I feel like it's just the opposite of like a randomizer race where they're helping each other get to different things. Like, you know, what they're just telling each other like what's in each chest and stuff like that.
Right.
There was a comment about that where it's like, Ocarina of Time is so like solved at this point,
right,
that they have to keep making up more and more stipulations to keep runs interesting. You
have to keep inventing categories because at this point, like, all of the big finds for Ocarina of Time have been solved. I mean, we watched SGDQ's like insane Zelda speedrun where you were manipulating the contents of treasure boxes, you know? And it's like, once you've hit that point, like, you have to start inventing new categories in order to keep it interesting. And so you can keep having the reliable moneymaker that is Zelda 64 at a GDQ event.
Because there's like, it's a game that's big enough that you can manipulate stuff like that, but also small enough that it's been solved already.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, it's so ubiquitous. There are few games that have been as played as Ocarina of Time. So, like, other than like the first Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
So
which they had a pretty good race for that too. Warpless race for Mario 1.
Fun. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. I can't wait for all this pandemic shit to be over so we can have like a real GDQ again. It'd be great. Maybe January.
What else did I do? Speaking of getting caught up on things way too late and that are too far gone to really be relevant anymore.
Oh no.
I finally got around to finishing 1776.
Oh, the John Boyce thing.
Yeah, the what is football like in the future thing.
Yeah.
I just, like, someone mentioned it on Tumblr, I saw, and I'm like, I never finished that, did I?
I never finished it either, now that I think about it.
That is a fascinating story.
John Boyce is a madman.
He's one of the greatest, like, modern writers of our time.
Absolutely. The Seattle Mariners thing, I actually today, they finally released a, the big Seattle Mariners. I don't know if you watched the history of the Seattle Mariners yet. It's incredible. You should watch it. But in that series, there's like a huge poster of like all of the every year that the Mariners have played, and like there's info and stuff all over it. And everybody was like, hey, it would be really cool to get a poster of that to put on my wall. They put that out today, so I actually bought one.
Oh, nice.
I bought one as soon as I saw it. It's only $12 for an 18 by 24 poster, which is pretty reasonable.
That's not bad.
So yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm going to hang it on my wall and just love it because it's spectacular. If you haven't watched the history of the Seattle Mariners, you absolutely should, because it's not just about sport. I mean, it is about sports, but it's also about like why we love sports and stuff like that. So but yeah, no, John Boyce is an fucking incredible writer. I mean, he's a man who can make you feel a great longing sadness for the decline of Bobs in the sports world. Again, just go watch anything that's labeled John Boyce on SB Nation. Just go watch it. I mean, it's all good, They keep partnering him with other contributors because it's like, well, John Boyce can't keep doing can't keep carrying SB Nation. But like, I like Kofi. I think Alex Rubinstein is fine. But, like, they're not quite as good.
No, none of them could have crafted the beauty that is Clarence Beef Tank.
Nope, it's true. Clarence Beef Tank is a hero of our time. The perfect athlete. So, Breaking Madden was gone too soon. Although I know that they basically wrang all the blood from that stone that they could.
Yeah.
I'm still like, no, but bring back Breaking. Fumble Dimension is kind of like the new Breaking Madden. And it's pretty good. I don't hate it. I like certain aspects of Fumble Dimension. It's pretty good. But it doesn't quite have the same, like, unhinged madness of your average Breaking Madden,
Mm-hmm.
So, highly recommend. Just go watch everything that John Boyce has ever produced, is what I'm telling you to do, actually. No big deal. But anyways, yeah, 17,776.
Yeah, I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce that. 17,776, I guess.
I guess.
But yeah, that's an incredible miniseries.
Yeah.
He's the Andrew Hussey of our time.
Andrew Hussey, no! God, anything else?
I got back to Xenoblade Chronicles. That's pretty good. I'm still really enjoying that. I'm chipping away at like a 90-hour RPG, so you know how that goes.
Yeah,
I also picked up Samurai Jack Battle Through Time.
Oh.
So.
Oh no.
I'm really happy that they can still make PS2 games.
Oh no.
It's a PS2 game.
It's a PS2 game.
If this game came out when the PS2 was out, it would be revered as one of the best licensed games, like legendary licensed products. Oh god, I need to pick up the Samurai Jack game. Oh, it's $400 for a copy of it.
Right,
PS2.
yeah, it'd be like Chronicles of Riddick.
Yeah, like a super rare collector's item because it's like a rock solid action platformer game with a bunch of cool weapons and stuff and attacks and stuff. But
right.
It is 2020, and
Oops.
Devil May Cry came out, and Ghost of Tsushima came out.
Yeah, it's a shame.
It's not bad. Like, it plays fine.
It's just a PS2 game.
Yeah, it doesn't have any depth. It doesn't really have a lot of, like, variety.
Bobo, do you really have to drink water in the middle of my recording? Thanks, buddy.
You go down the hallway into the combat room, and a bunch of enemies spawn, and you have a light attack, you have a heavy attack, you've got ninja stars and kunai and guns and stabs and stuff, and everything can break except for your sword.
Sure.
So there's no reason to use any other weapon besides your sword.
No.
I mean, it looks great. It does actually look like translated the visual style of Samurai Jack into 3D pretty well.
Right.
Got all the original voices. Everyone came back for it.
Oh, that's nice.
They very clearly had fun with the writing and stuff like that. It's set weird because like it looked like it was just gonna be like, oh, we're gonna do the episodes, right?
Yeah.
Like, here is the episode where Jack meets the Scotsman, and we're just going to turn that into a level.
Right.
But instead, it's literally set within, like, a 30-second span between one of the Season 5 episodes. Like, the last episode of Season 5.
What?
Where Jack goes back to the past, finally.
Mm-hmm.
And it's set while he's falling through the portal back to the past.
Oh my god.
And it's just Aku trapped him in a time loop where he has to go and relive all his past adventures.
Oh. Okay.
And I mean, it is set 30 seconds before that scene in the episode starts. You don't get like a brief summation of what's going on. You get the cartoon's intro theme,
right?
Aku's narration, and then it's just like, here's footage from the episode.
Oh, so it's like cartoon footage.
Yeah, like you don't get anything.
Wow.
And then it's just, here you go. You watch the show, right?
That is a PS2 game right there. Wow. Like, that is the kind of thing a PS2 game would just do to, like, cut corners. It'd be like, here's a clip from the show. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It's got the thing where, like, if you're not in a cutscene, characters don't have dialogue. It's just text boxes.
Sure.
You know, there's floating collectibles everywhere that are glowing.
Wow, this is a PS2 game.
Yeah, it's a super PS2 game.
Wow, it's amazing.
Again, it's not bad. It's just a regular action game.
Yeah, it's just kind of dated in comparison.
When I was playing it, a video came out by Writing on Games about this game, and how his summation of it was, it's fine.
Yeah.
But it doesn't capture what makes Samurai Jack good. And this was also a problem of what Season 5 had, which is, you know, the appeal of Samurai Jack is you get minutes upon minutes of Jack silently walking through an environment.
Sure, yeah.
You know?
It's a tone piece.
Yeah, he walks through a forest, and the forest has these really artistic looking trees, and he sees like weird animals going by. And then after like 5 minutes of this 22-minute cartoon, he might run into something that he has to fight.
Right, then the plot starts.
Yeah, it's like, that's what Samurai Jack is. It's all set pieces and beautiful visuals, and occasionally a really artistic fight.
Right.
Not even like an action-heavy fight. Like, not even, you know, something that's like a Rise of the Teenage Mutant Turtles episode fight.
Right.
Like, it's going to be a sword fight, and the enemy might be unique. You know, you might get something like Jack versus the Ninja, where you get that nice black and white silhouettes and stuff. But, you know, that's not the tone of the game, and it doesn't match up with the tone of the show. And,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
If, like, the closest game that made me feel like this is a Samurai Jack game is Breath of the Wild.
That makes sense.
Because
it's more about, like, the feel of the world itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Breath of the Wild is you spend a lot of time walking to a new area. And you
it's
don't
quiet.
You don't really know what is over the horizon, but there's always something, and you might go a few minutes without encountering an enemy or like a civilian or anything. It might just be you for a while, and that's a good tone setter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go play Ghost of Tsushima. It feels more like
Samurai
Jack.
It's a much better Samurai Jack game.
Yeah, go play Breath of the Wild and Ghost of Tsushima back to back until you get too tired and they just kind of meld together in your brain, and there you go.
There you go. You're perfect. Okay.
Yeah, that was it for me.
Cool.
What did you do?
You significantly less than you. So let me think. I tooled around a little bit more in the Kingsbird, which we talked about in the last week's Indie Week episode. That game's still good. It's just a joy to play. Like, I just have fun kind of screwing around in it. And then the big thing is still, like, Fate Grand Order continues to eat my life. It's fine. It's fine. Summer 3 just ended. Summer 3 is really good. They put out a poll in Japan about, like, what your favorite... I might have talked about this. I don't know. Everything blurs together after a while. Like, what your favorite event was, and everybody says, like, the first one is CCC, of course, because it's, like, Nasu's best writing. But then second place was Summer 3. It's called Servant Fest, and it was a joy, especially when you know, like, the backstory of companies like Type Moon and other Dojin company games, because it's an incredibly well done love letter to Comic Cat. You know, like the Dojin festival that happens in Japan like twice a year, I think, once a year, where they make a lot of where all the porn comes from. Yes, but also other stuff. It's also just like non-pornographic Dojins as well. But, like, that's where, like, Nasu... I mean, any prolific VN writer gets their start at Comic Cat. Like, you know, they show up with a... Back in, especially in the 90s and early 2000s, you'd show up at Comic Cat with, like, a disc and be like, here's my VN. It's only half done. Tell me if you like it, and then buy it when it's finished. And, like, you know, they really... kind of like companies just kind of lived and died off of what happened at Comic Cat, and Comic Cat is still like, it's interesting. It's still like independently owned. It's not run by like a big corporation like the way that Comic-Con is now. It was founded by a leftist. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like a completely independent operation, and it's the biggest comics festival like in the world, basically. And
that's
it's
pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's extremely cool. No, Comic Cat is the real deal, man. And so Servant Fest is like one half love letter to people who play FGO, and one half love letter to just the grind of getting ready for Comic Cat, because the deal is that like the main character and a handful of other servants are stuck in a time loop, and the only way to get out of the time loop, the 7-day time loop, the only way to get out of the time loop is to write the best selling doujin for Servant Fest, right?
Right.
And so you just have this reoccurring story of like artistic frustration and fighting deadlines and panicking the night before the con, and all these like really relatable feelings if you've ever been friends with like a cosplayer like I am. I'm not a cosplayer, but like one of my closest friends is, and so I just know the horror stories of texting her at like 3 a.m. the night before con. It's like, have you slept? She's like, no, I haven't slept in 2 days. It's not done yet. And it's like a lot of those feelings and that like frustration, like artistic frustration of like feeling like you've hit a plateau and you don't know how to improve beyond that. So you're kind of like chasing yourself, which is really cool. Like, it's good. It's so good. Oh my god, it was incredible. It's funny and charming, and they made like dozens of fake doujin covers that you unlock over the course of the event. So there's like slice of life doujins about the Knights of the Round Table. The funniest one is, so Kiara is like the horny nun character. Mm-hmm. And they write like, and they go like the group is in like a fugue state where they accidentally write a doujin about Kiara, but like, and she's like the horny nun, except nothing horny happens in the doujin, but everybody who reads it is like, why does this feel so dirty? Even though nothing bad happens at all.
It's that DeviantArt mood where you see like fan art and you're like, is this a fetish?
It's totally that, yeah. And I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I just thought it was great. So yeah, it's just like Fate Grand Order just continues to be extremely good, and I constantly pester people. I'm like, you should be playing Fate Grand Order, and I'm gonna keep saying that forever because I'm like, this is great. I love this game. Like, I genuinely like Fate Grand Order. It's gone from being like haha waifu game to being like, no, I genuinely like Fate Grand Order as a video game and as a story. It's like, oh, sure. Okay.
Oh, that reminds me of two things I forgot to mention. This will be quick, but also, yeah, speaking of that, I'm also getting into Union Cross.
Oh, yeah.
I finally hit story content, so it's getting good, and it's worth playing now.
I'm so proud of you. You did it.
Yeah, I did it, and I also have a really good set. Like, I got the medals, the KH3 medals for Sora, Riku, and Kairi.
Right.
And it cost me a lot of resources, but I did it. So
you did it.
Cool.
I'm proud of you.
Yay.
You understand the gacha grind.
Also, speaking of stories about meeting deadline and artistic behavior and stuff like that, and the pressure of that, Time Paradox Ghostwriter ended.
Oh!
Yeah.
It ended.
It ended at chapter 13.
Did it get canceled? I guess it got canned.
It got super canned, and you could tell the last few chapters were the author desperately flailing to write a compelling plot to not get canceled.
Oh my god, that sucks.
Which really sucks because, like I said last month, like, oh boy, this new plot hook is really interesting. I can't wait to see where this goes.
Yeah, that's unfortunately the fate of most Shonen Jump manga. Is to just kind of, unless you're like the big hotness, you're gonna get canned. Like,
yeah.
Unfortunately.
It is just especially ironic being, about a mangaka who wants to write a world-class manga that everyone can enjoy, and then he gets canned.
That's, the especially these days, Shonen Jump is like flailing because all of their big sellers have ended. Demon Slayer ended, The Promised Neverland ended, One Piece is going to end someday, I assume. So they're like, oh god, we need another big bestseller, and they kind of can't produce that the way they used to. So they're just like, well, this doesn't immediately take off, can it?
Yeah.
And it's just kind of how it just keeps happening.
Yep.
So
yeah, this shame. I was enjoying it, and then it ended. I just reminded of that. So what else have you done?
Other than that, just kind of tooled around, like I said, in some of the BLM bundle indie games. Nothing like of note. And that's kind of it. I didn't really do as much because I've been busy adjusting to a new job. I got a new job last month, and I work later I wake up later, but I also work later into the night, and so I'm still, like, trying to readjust to my new schedule. So maybe by next month I'll have plenty to talk about. So be patient with me. On to the news.
Yes, on to the news. Bunch of cool stuff happened. There's some fun things. We're starting off with this with Take-Two retreats from $70 games being the norm for PS5 and Xbox Series X. That was them going, sorry, no. We were wrong.
Except looks like Call of Duty is going to be $70, so it looks like we might be forced into paying $70 for video games after all.
According to this article, there will be some games that will be $70, but Take-Two was kind of trying to push that into being the norm, like an official price hike for everything.
Yeah.
But they kind of backed off on saying that anymore.
Well, I got a feeling it's still gonna happen because if Take-Two won't do it, Activision sure as shit will. And Call of Duty is still one of the biggest franchises in the world, so if they say, hey, the new Call of Duty is $70, then the new Call of Duty is $70, so...
I'm gonna keep it real with you, Chief. I'm not spending $70 to have Ronald Reagan tell me to commit war crimes.
Yeah, but a lot of other people will, so, we'll see. I would prefer it if the next gen was just like, some games are 60 and some games are 70, but we'll see.
Chances are the games that are $70 are games that we won't care about, so that'll work out.
I don't give a shit about your Maddens and your Call of Duties and your do they still make Battlefield games? I don't know. I don't know what's going on in the shooter land. I only play JRPGs and gacha games these days, so, oh well. I hope not everything is $70, because I'm not going to pay $70 for a lot of shit.
Yeah, me neither. I'm not... You'll have to, push me real hard to spend that much.
It has to be very compelling to make me spend $70 on a video game.
Let's see, what else happened? Dan returns to Street Fighter V as Season 5's first character.
Yay! I'm amazed it took this long, honestly.
A whole bunch of characters got announced for that. Actually, we've got...
I know Lisa got in.
Yes, Rose got in. It is... God, this article is not loading properly. Where the fuck is it? Dan, Rose, Akira, and Oro.
Sure.
Akira is cool because she is from Rival Schools, which hasn't gotten an announcement in over a decade.
Yeah, but Itsuno was talking semi-recently about wanting to make another Rival Schools. And it's like, you should do that.
You should make another Rival Schools. It sucks because Street Fighter V has like the best roster I've ever seen.
Right.
But it doesn't play as good.
I have no interest in well, for one, I'm bad at fighting games. But for two, I have negative interest in Street Fighter V just because I do think it's one of the ugliest fucking video games I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it doesn't look good, but it like the roster's so fucking strong.
And by look good, I mean it is aesthetically unappealing. Like on a technical standpoint, I think Street Fighter V looks good.
The character designs are bad.
The models are the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. They are all extremely bad. Yes.
Oro is an interesting pick. He's from Street Fighter 3. He's one of the characters that like never really showed up in anything else besides 3.
Sure. That's because 3 is in like a weird place on the timeline.
3 is kind of like what DMC2 was like for a while, where it's like so far in the future that like it doesn't matter.
Right.
So there's a bunch of characters in 3 that have never shown up previously.
Right.
Oro being one of them, who was cool because his whole thing was he is so powerful that he has to fight with only one hand because otherwise he'd just beat everyone.
Fun. Okay.
Kind of like how Cody was so strong in Street Fighter 4 that he had to wear handcuffs to limit himself.
Yeah.
In this, it looks like in his artwork for Street Fighter 5, we haven't seen his model in game yet.
Right.
It looks like he has both hands, like, out.
Okay.
But one of them is holding a turtle.
Yes!
Which I think would be an amazing aesthetic thing for a character.
Excellent.
Is that he's just holding a little turtle in his hand the entire match.
He brought a buddy along for the whole ride. Good for him.
So the interesting thing about Oro, though, by the way, this is a fun fact about Street Fighter. Street Fighter 3's whole thing was how fucking good all those sprites look, right?
Sure.
And their gimmick was they designed a character, whose name I can't remember, but his body is divided into blue and red, right?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
One half of his body is blue, the other half is red. And the thing was, hey, look at how cool this is. His colors will be consistent no matter which side he's facing.
Oh, okay.
We designed whole new sprites to mimic, whatever direction he should be facing.
Yeah.
Look how cool we are.
That's a lot of effort, yeah.
Oro only uses one arm, and his sprites mirror when he switches sides.
Oops. Oops. Well, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine. That's Capcom for you.
That is also why the character DJ in Street Fighter 2, his pants say maximum, because you can mirror that horizontally.
Oh, that's smart. Okay. Yeah. Funny.
So yeah, that was cool. Again, fucking cool roster, and I can't wait to watch those trailers and then stop thinking about Street Fighter 5.
Never play Street Fighter 5. Yeah, of course. Maybe watch Street Fighter 5 at fucking EVO.
Yeah, whenever EVO comes back. Oops.
Oh, right. I forgot. Oh no. We
That's
live in the worst possible world.
That's not on here because it's a bit too dark for this podcast, but EVO.
Whatever.
Also, Mike Z, shut up challenge.
Hey,
he failed.
Mike Z, shut the fuck up. Oh, well. Well, at least Skullgirls isn't actually owned by Lab Zero, and neither is Indivisible. I think Indivisible is owned by 505.
Yeah.
So it's fine. Keep playing Skullgirls. Don't ditch Skullgirls to dunk on Mike Z.
So everyone leaving Lab Zero at the same time was like, they should form their own company named Lab Eero, and then it was like, wait. No, they should probably not do that with a game like Skullgirls. They should probably not call it that.
No, but they could make so much money if they did, though. I'm just saying, if you want, what's cooler than $1 million? $1 billion. Do you know how you make $1 billion? You make a Skullgirls game by a team called Lab Eero. That's how.
It would be amazing.
It'd be unstoppable.
There's just that meme of like, Mike Z walking into the Lab Zero offices in the morning, and it's just that picture of Will Smith standing in the empty living room.
Where did all the video game developers go?
So that was fun. Odo Koto reveals history of how Kingdom Hearts got approved by Eisner. So this was an interesting story that was revealed in an interview. How it got approved is that it didn't at first.
That sounds like Michael Eisner. Yeah.
Nomura just kind of started working on it without actually getting permission first.
That sounds like Tetsuya Nomura, yeah.
Where is the exact quote I'm looking for?
Oh my God.
Okay, so here it is. This is from the article on KH Insider. Eisner and Bob Iger, who were at the time president and chief operating officer of the Walt Disney Company, came to visit Japan to inspect Tokyo Disney Sea and receive performance results from their Japan branch. It was during this meeting with Eisner and over 100 members of management that Utsumi presented Kingdom Hearts. Eisner did not give any praise for the project, but instead gave Utsumi encouraging words to keep at it and do it right, which was as good as an approval.
That's basically, I mean, you didn't tell us no, is basically what they're saying there. You didn't tell us to stop making it, so we're just going to keep doing it. It's fine.
So the article goes on to sum up a few things. This article is just a summation of the interview on another site, site in Japan. The experimental cage project began without Disney's authorization, which Square apparently wasn't aware of. When he joined the company and was and this is Shuji Utsumi, when he joined the company and was immediately told development is already busily underway, he was extremely shocked. First of all, Disney has never approved a license in Japan for a title in a completely new setting. They had never combined multiple franchises together before. There wasn't even a style guide for creating a 3D model of Mickey Mouse.
I love it. Wild West, baby.
The reason nobody had gotten authorization was because there wasn't even anyone in Japan who had the authority to pass judgment on a project like this.
Good. Oh, I love it. Better times when you can just do something like that. These days, it's also like intensely micromanaged and so supervised by the Disney Corporation. But like at that time, if you've ever watched like a single episode of Defunctland, then like that at that time Michael Eisner was so busy ruining the rest of Disney that he probably didn't give a shit about Kingdom Hearts.
So I also don't think he speaks Japanese.
Michael Eisner? No, Michael Eisner barely speaks English, bro.
Okay, so here is... so there's more. This is amazing. This article is, like, insane. Can you imagine? It's 2001, 2002, and you're just sitting with Michael Eisner, who owns everything Disney.
Owns Disney.
And you're like, you didn't ask to do this. You just kind of went ahead and you're just waiting for him to say yes or no.
I love it.
So here it is. On the day of the presentation, there were over 100 members of management from both Japan and the USA, but everyone only focused on Eisner, who sat in a chair at the front and asked questions and gave instructions for each presentation.
Yep.
The way everyone hung on his every word, waiting for him to speak or not, trying to read his mood, felt more like an old Japanese business meeting than a Western one.
That's awesome.
Meetings at Disney with Eisner were completely different. Utsumi thought he was like, quote, an ancient Japanese emperor.
Oh, Michael Eisner was such a goofball. You really don't need to think of him in that context. He's such a doofus. Like, you should one day go watch the video of him opening Euro Disney for the first time, and his voice cracks in the middle of him poorly pronouncing French. And it's just a disaster, which is hilarious to think that like people were intimidated. I guess, I mean, Michael Eisner was still the head of the Disney company and had helped at one point bring it back from the brink, and then promptly put it back on the brink. Whoops.
I'm just betting that because like there was a language barrier and a culture barrier back then.
Sure.
That he didn't know what he was looking at.
No,
he didn't really.
No clue.
Like, he didn't get it. He didn't care what was happening. He just.
No, Eisner was famously like extremely. He had a very short attention span. Mm-hmm. He would just jump from project to project and basically kind of chase whatever he thought looked cool at the time. So he probably saw Kingdom Hearts and went like, yeah, sure. And then like ignored it entirely. And then the Japanese developers were like, oh, well, they didn't tell us to stop. So we're just going to keep going.
I'm just like, they're thinking of him as like this like stoic, silent, just Chinese emperor.
No, he just couldn't speak. He could not speak a lick of Japanese and was probably deeply out of his element.
He didn't know what Japan. He probably didn't even know what a PlayStation was. Like,
no.
He's like, what is this? A movie? Is this a book? What? I mean, you know what? Keep going. I'm gonna go.
It's so stupid. So it's just incredible to me.
I would love to just like get
to be a fly on the wall.
I want to read a book about one of the Japanese team members, of memory of that meeting, and then a U.S. member.
Oh yeah. Like
Just
what the difference was, like
someone
perception.
Who like knew Eisner a bit better, like how he handled things, and be like, yeah, he just looked really confused the whole time.
Probably was deeply confused the entire time. It's hilarious. Oh man,
I just think like the genesis of Kingdom Hearts is amazing. Just like
between the insane elevator pitch that basically got it started and this, it's a ride.
The fact that it was literally an elevator pitch.
Yeah, no, I'm not kidding when I say an elevator pitch. That's the actual story.
The fact that they just kind of did it without getting approval at first, and the simple fact that Nomura was like, God, I'm so mad at Nintendo for booting us with Final Fantasy. Who can we make a game out of that's bigger than Mario? Mickey Mouse.
Fuck you guys.
And then when Dream Drop Distance comes out and they do that interview with Iwata where he's like, oh yeah, I made it out of spite because I wanted to have someone compete with Mario. And Iwata's like, what?
No one knew. Tetsuya Nomura is very quiet and very dangerous.
There's more news about him on this later, but let's move on to something that's a little bit kind of bittersweet.
Oh no.
Longtime Street Fighter producer Yoshinori Ono is leaving Capcom.
Oh no. Yeah, what a complicated history of Capcom you have. On the one hand, you brought Street Fighter back, which is great, because, like, you know, it's a bit of a minute between Street Fighter 3 and Street Fighter 4, so you brought Street Fighter back, and by all accounts, Street Fighter 4 is fine. I don't know the general consensus of it, but
by the end of it, like, people will say 4 is better than 5. They'd rather play like whatever the highest rank of 4 was over 5 any day.
Sure, I mean that makes total sense.
But I think like by the end of it, it's arguable whether Third Strike or 4 is better. Right.
I mean that's cool, you know?
Yeah.
Like he came back, he brought back Street Fighter. Street Fighter 4 was a hit, despite everything, it was a hit. And then 5 happened. And 5 is contentious, to say the least.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I don't know.
He left behind a legacy. He's been there for 30 years.
Sure, it's interesting to leave as well. I mean, you know, Japanese companies like that, with the way they're kind of structured, you could just kind of like work out of a closet for the rest of your life and keep drawing a paycheck and just sit around on Twitter all day, and frankly, nobody would fire you because you've been there so long, you know? But I guess he decided to leave, which is, you know, I guess an easier way than to deal with the indignity of being put on like a lesser project.
Yeah.
And instead of kind of having the Street Fighter like forcibly taken from you, you're just like, never mind, I'll just leave. Instead of having to see somebody else do it.
Yeah, he wrote a big long farewell thing on Twitter. Talking about that.
It's a long time, man.
He mentions that a lot of it is the COVID situation, the canceling of Capcom Pro Tournament.
Sure.
Stuff like
the Pro Tour had to stop.
Yeah, just like as stuff, is getting canceled and production is slowing down, like he probably just figured it's a good time to finally duck out.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. You're not really leaving in the middle of a crunch or in the middle of, like, tons of projects going off.
Yeah.
You're kind of leaving in a down period, so there won't be as much chaos for a 30-year veteran of the company to depart, you know? So that tracks as well. I mean, that makes total sense, so.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's, you know, he's been there for a long time. He's kind of been, like, you know, a mainstay of the franchise and the fandom and stuff like that. So,
for better or for worse, but yeah, you know, so. Oh.
In later news, we're going back to the Wild West with this one. Players think Red Dead Online's latest update made their horses dumber. I think Red Dead Online is becoming like the new 76, where it's like, what dumb thing happened this month?
I love hearing stories about Red Dead Redemption because you're right, it is very much a what dumb thing happened this month, but it's all under the guise of like cowboys, like playing cowboy, and it's just so funny to me.
I think the difference is that like Fallout is like an inherently goofy franchise with a bunch of mutants and monsters and whatever, and Red Dead's a fairly like grounded, realistic cowboy game.
Sure, absolutely.
And so now you get stuff like horses that are just like running into walls and flying off.
Yay! Reason enough to actually play this game.
Horses aren't responding when you whistle for them. They're like jumping into the air and they're glitching off of terrain and then plummeting and then dying because they're falling from such great heights.
Oh, I love it. Excellent. I love stupid shit like that. What happens when you just start breaking things in an MMO. I think it's great.
The article has a bunch of gifs of just like horses being flung around and players like getting kicked off.
Good. Oh, I love it. Oh.
Just amazing. Just amazing.
Excellent.
Keep
Perfect.
it up. Keep it up, Rockstar.
Keep breaking Red Dead Online. I'm begging you, because I think it's funny. I'm not in the middle of it, and it's not Fallout 76, so it's something new. I love it. I love me a good clusterfuck of an online game. I guess it's not technically an MMO. So, a messy online. Messy online games are great because it just means you have tons of interactions clashing against each other.
It's just like a great like sub community, like its own subculture basically of just like this group of players going through their own personal hell in their game.
Their horses are just demonstrably dumber now. What did you do to Bessie? Bessie's out in the field just drooling on herself.
Oh my god, you know what this is?
Wait.
This is your horse has gone crazy and it started bucking around and throwing you around and it's gone mad. Select the gun and then select your horse.
Select your horse. Oh, it's so good. Found the title card. Found the title card. I hope we haven't used that one before.
Oh, we definitely haven't. That's new.
Okay.
Okay. Side
We've
note.
used Penny Arcade before.
Side note. Oh, yeah, Penny Arcade. You know what? Penny Arcade, for better or for worse, has kind of lost its luster over the years. Obviously, they've been doing it for like 30 goddamn years now.
Right.
They're all fucking nearing 50.
Yeah, they're all a bunch of like grandpas now who have no business
They're,
talking about video games in the way they do.
Their kids are that were babies when the comics was well into production are now like in high school and shit.
Yeah, exactly.
But sometimes Tycho will write a sentence that is so grammatically solid, like select the gun and then select your horse.
My favorite is still, I am but a man. You'll get the bitch ending you deserve.
God. My hand is a gnarled claw. Then
exactly.
Jiminy slapping him with his umbrella.
Oh, it's perfect. To this day, it's still just like one of the funniest possible Penny Arcade comics ever.
Great.
So that's it. I found our title card.
Yeah, that's it. That'll definitely be it. Next, official. Rocksteady is making Sarah. Hey, Sarah.
No, I'm in bed. Go away.
Do you want to know what would be a good idea for a DC video game?
No, I don't want to talk about it.
What if we took the character Superman?
No, no
What
more.
if Superman were bad?
No. You can't make me care. It'll never happen. That was a cool idea 15 years ago.
I remember talking, or I remember the best friends talking about this when Mortal Kombat 10 came out, when MKX came out.
Right.
And they were talking about, remember how cool it was because it ends with Liu Kang being the leader of NetherRealm?
Sure.
And it was like, wow, that's intense. Patrick Boivin talked about that, and he was like, that's so cool. That's like saying, what if Superman were evil? And it's like, and that was like 4 years ago.
It was, look, the last and only time What If Superman Was Evil was done well was that Justice League Unlimited episode about the alternate Justice League, right?
Yeah.
That's it. After that, stop trying. You will never top Justice League Unlimited. It's just not going to work. I'm sorry.
It's so
overdone. At this point, I was listening to Big Think Dimension talk about this, and it's like, at this point, you could, realistically, there are 8 to 10-year-olds out in the world who have never known a good guy Superman.
Yeah, like an actual, genuine hero without, a twist Superman.
Yeah,
they've never...
You just, fucking DC movies definitely have an abysmal, and which is such a waste of Henry Cavill, but it is what it is.
Henry Cavill in normal real life acts like Superman, already.
Yeah, because he's a big dork, but he's jacked as shit, and he's very charming and funny, and he loves computers, and you're like, oh, look at this nerd, and then he takes off his shirt, and you're like, oh my god.
And it's what if he didn't smile?
But it's and anytime Henry Cavill does smile in interviews and stuff, you're like, that's just Clark Kent.
Yeah, that's
How do you
super
squander
genuine.
That? How do you squander such a nice, friendly guy?
Oh, what about video games? Oh, the latest game Superman's been in was Injustice.
And he's an asshole in that, right?
Where he's a dictator Superman who goes crazy after Lois Lane gets killed, and he starts killing everyone. And he becomes a big evil emperor, and it fucking...
I'm so over it.
The only thing going on right now besides the comics where Superman's a good, decent person is the Harley Quinn cartoon.
Oh yeah, he's actually a good guy in that one, which is just staggering.
Yeah, where he's just he's just a big, goofy dude, and everyone likes him. This is
amazing.
Suicide Squad looks so goddamn boring to me as someone who really, really liked the Arkham games.
Sure. I just can't even... I am begging somebody at DC to have an original thought for once in their life.
And then...
What is so difficult to understand about Superman being a good guy? You don't have to write him as the all-American, loves mom and apple pie, God bless America, golden boy, but a good guy who's still man, being a good guy is kind of hard sometimes. What's so difficult about that?
Everyone who was oh, you can't write a compelling Superman story anymore because he's too good and nice. You have to edge him up, and it's
everybody said that about Captain America too.
You're a bad writer if you think that. Straight up, you're a bad writer.
You're a bad writer, and also, for real, I don't care about Marvel movies. You know this about me.
Mm-hmm.
But, when Captain America came out, the number one complaint about, the concept of a Captain America MCU movie was, well, Captain America's too wholesome, and, that's not compelling at all. And then, whoops, the first Avenger came out, and it's actually a pretty good little movie. And Captain America's a pretty interesting character in the grand scheme of things. And it's oh, you can do a good guy and, have his ultimate goodness be at odds with, the shittiness of the world,
I was talking about this with Red Lantern Reviews on Twitter, where they were like, we were talking about, because not just this, but it was this, and then Gotham Knights also got announced, and then the Batman got a trailer, the Robert Pattinson movie. And we were talking about, like, God, I really, really hope this is the first Batman movie where Batman doesn't kill anyone.
Oh, God.
Because, like, it looks super dark, and it would be really compelling to have a hero who believes in a cause and has a strict moral code, in comparison or contrast to this really, really dark, gritty movie.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea, because it kind of plays with, like, modern conversations of morality, where, like, you know, being good can be hard, and that's why it's the correct thing to do, you know? Like,
yeah.
Turns out goodness and loving other people is, like, a difficult thing sometimes, and the world makes it really hard on you. And you have to kind of be at war with your natural instincts to lash out at, like, the shittiness of the world, right? And it's like, hey, that's really interesting. Are you gonna do anything with that? No? You're just gonna make Batman kill people? Okay.
Oh, okay.
And so Superman's the villain again,
Yeah.
and Batman is dead in Arkham Knights.
No, he's not. No, he's not. No,
he's not really.
Fucking
no,
not.
he's fucking not. Okay, he's not. But still, that's the line they're leading with.
You fucking know that,
He's
like,
not.
when they were doing the promotions for this, like, Warner Brothers was like talking to, I don't know what company's making this game, but whatever, they're talking to, like,
Who cares?
he's not really dead, right? Like, you're not really gonna kill Batman
God,
in this
you're
game,
so right.
right? Like, we'll advertise it like he's dead, but he's not really dead, right?
Gotta make sure that Batman's in your Batman game. Ugh.
They fucking, like, their whole thing about the Suicide Squad game is it's called Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and there's, like, I don't know if it's a rumor or what, but the idea is, like, oh, you can kill all the members of the Justice League except for, like, Batman, Wonder Woman, and, like, Superman.
Oh yeah, they'll
Like,
be fine. They're gonna come out of that unscathed.
You can kill everyone else, but no, you can't kill Batman. Never, ever are you allowed to kill Batman.
Ugh.
It's fucking just the dumbest
Just
thing.
makes me so tired. It's like go for it, you know? Like, either make a properly heroic thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or go the opposite direction and like, for real go for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, don't pull your punches, actually do the thing. But you're not gonna kill Wonder Woman. You're not gonna kill Batman. I guarantee it. I would bet money on it right here and now. So, I just...
I really hope that Robert Pattinson Batman movie is good because he looks great. But
yeah, he looks good. And I mean, like, the poster was done by Jim Lee, which is neat. Like, they actually used a for real fucking comic artist to do the cool illustrated poster, which owns. So, like, I don't know, man. The superhero thing is dire lately, especially DC. I just can't even. And then, of course, you know, they showed, like, ooh, the first shots from the Snyder Cut. They look abysmal.
oh, it's brown.
Oh, look, it's brown.
Yeah, there was that comparison shot where the guy's like, I can't believe the improvement. It just looked like a fucking sepia tone.
I was literally, like, looking at Superman's cape. Like, what am I looking at?
It's like,
because
wait.
it's not red, and, like, the color grading is such literal dog shit, as in it looks like dog shit.
Yeah. It's like, which one is the improvement? You mean the one that has color, right?
Yeah, this one. This is the good one, right? Like, no, it's hideous. And the whole frame is so ugly and cluttered, and there's so much shit going on in, like, the background, and the color grading is bad, and it's like, it's just a bunch of shot of some characters' backs in front of a CGI background. It's like, oh.
There's rumors that shit's gonna be like 5 hours long.
Oh, I would rather put a gun in my mouth.
I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing that to myself. No. Maybe if you paid me a lot of money via Patreon, but otherwise, fuck no.
For $500, we'll watch the Snyder Cut. That's not happening. Don't do
the
it.
Snyder Cut instead of the bad game. Jesus.
Um,
We split that $500 down the middle and pay for $250 worth of therapy after having to watch that shit. Sure. Or $250 worth of alcohol to just utterly wipe my memory of it. Maybe.
We'll talk later. We'll talk
talk
after
about
this
it.
recording.
Anyways.
Speaking of dumb bananas clown shit, the next generation Xbox has a much simpler name than you might think. It's actually just Xbox. It's actually just Xbox.
Yeah, I heard you the first time, motherfucker. Oh.
They want you to just call it Xbox.
That...
Quote from this
No.
Business Insider article.
Stop.
The name we're carrying forward to a next generation is simply Xbox, a
Why?
Microsoft representative told Business Insider, adding that the name Xbox Series X allows room for additional consoles in the future.
Bad! Why?
They're just calling it Xbox.
I feel like...
This means there's been only one console that they've decided is not just called Xbox.
Oh my god. I feel like I'm in the movie Groundhog's Day.
Fucking marketing
No.
people
Go
are...
fuck yourself. It's called the Xbox Series X and I won't hear anything else.
Marketing people for Microsoft are the dumbest motherfuckers on the goddamn planet.
They're not dumb. They are running the most incredible grift, and frankly, I respect them.
How do you fuck this up this badly when your
Don't
competitors are doing the exact opposite things really well?
It's so straightforward.
Sony and Nintendo, we've talked about this before. Sony and Nintendo both took the opposite approaches to their console names,
Sure.
and it's super effective.
Either give it a completely different name that just tells you 100% what your new system does,
Yeah.
or you stick a number behind it. That's it.
Fucking, this is insanity.
I don't understand.
As someone who follows video game news and keeps up with the industry, this is confusing to me.
Is it... Like, what do they think? What's the plan here? Is
What-
the plan to just think, like, I'm gonna forget that the Xbox One happened?
All of
You
this...
You can't do a soft reboot of a hardware series.
All of this on top of the whole thing where they're promoting. They're not just, like, admitting or just, like, announcing. They're promoting the fact that the Xbox Series X... The Xbox, I guess we're just calling it now, won't have a new exclusive for the first year. This is part of their campaign for the new console launches. We won't have anything that's not compatible with the Xbox One for the first year.
It's such a bizarre... To me, I still just cannot wrap my head around it. Why bother with... I mean, I guess it's to compete with Sony. You know, we talk about this at length on the Discord, and the only thing... Saturn's brought this up before. The only thing I can think of is that this is some sort of insane way to transition into, like, the PC market and just get rid of the Xbox and just start selling Xbox-branded PCs. But, like, this is such a weird way to go about it to... And I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the strategy here is. It just seems like increasingly more bizarre choices.
Yeah, it feels like they've changed. Like, if I could just get, like, a rep to just say, here's why we're doing it this way.
Yes.
Then I could understand. Like, it'd be like, okay, well, there's probably some. They probably did some research and they probably talked to people and they figured out this might be an approach we can try for our new console.
Right.
But there isn't that. So I'm just left holding the bag like, why are you doing it like this? It feels like you've changed direction a few times.
Yeah, it's like they can't... It's like they're a couple months away from release, and they still can't decide what they're gonna do with their system.
And,
you know?
And, like, you know, I try not to fanboy over console specifically. I mean, like,
sure.
You know, I pick usually it comes down to Xbox or PlayStation. Which one do you get? Well, I picked the one that's like more affordable or is likely going to have the exclusives I want. And it just so happens that the last few consoles have been Sony.
Yeah, it's just that, like, for my money, I feel like when I buy, like, a PlayStation, I'm getting something I can't get anywhere else. Like, that's why you buy the PlayStation. It's like, well, I can't get some of the stuff that PlayStation offers.
Yeah.
Like, on PC.
I don't really care about Halo, but I like Ratchet and Clank, so I'm going to get PlayStation.
Yeah, and it's like... And, Sony has admitted that they want to start branching out into the PC market more. And, like, that's fine. That's respectable. Yeah. But, like, so far all of their PC releases have been, like, multiple years after their system releases. And also... like, well, no, I don't want to wait 3 years for Horizon Zero Dawn 2 or whatever it's called, Forbidden West.
Apparently the Horizon port isn't very good anyway, so,
Oh, that doesn't surprise me at all, actually.
But the whole thing with Xbox is that, like, Sony, and it's on the docket later, but like Sony put out like these huge fucking things where it's like, here's a bunch of shit on the PS5. Here's what it looks like. Here's what the controller looks like. Here's what's inside it. Here's like, exclusive for PS5. Here's exclusive for PS5. Coming out.
Here's a reason to buy a PS5 is what they're saying.
Within launch window, here's, games coming out for the PS5. You can only get them on PS5. There's not backwards compatibility with the PS4. Like, we're not multi-releasing this thing.
Yeah, they're not going to waste your time and gimp their new games by trying to make it work on the PS4.
And then fucking they're like, Microsoft's like, here's Halo. It's going to be on the old one too.
And it's, to me, that's the thing that really... Like, okay, fine, Microsoft doesn't know what they're doing with the direction of their new console. Fine, that's just Microsoft. They don't know what they're doing. But, like, to me, what grinds my gears the hardest is the concept of the Series S or the Lockhart or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Because it means that, like, anything that's going to be coming out, like, multi-platform. So, like, anything that is like a Resi 8, for example, is like, are they gonna have to gimp Resi 8 to make it run on like this Lockhart system? Are we like? Or are they just gonna say it can only run on the Series X, or it's only gonna run on PC and PS5? Like, how's that gonna work?
Or like, are they gonna do the thing where it's like, is Capcom gonna be like, here is Resi 8. It looks like dog shit on PS5 because it has to look good. It has to also run on Xbox.
Yeah, it's the PC player's dilemma, except now PS5 people get to experience it too. For years, PC players complained about like this idea that like, will our games get gimped because they also have to function on consoles, right?
Yeah.
And now that's exactly what like PS5 players are gonna have to face that too.
Like, or are we gonna get the RE4 situation? Where it's just like, we just keep rebuilding it for new consoles. Like, is there going to be the PS4 5 version that looks really, really good, and then the Xbox One version looks like crap?
I mean, maybe they'll just do, like, a fucking... I mean, they got Wolfenstein the New Colossus running on the Switch, so are they also just going to do that to the Lockhart?
Is the fucking Lockhart going to be the new Switch? Or it's just like 6 months later, here's this crappy version of the game.
Yeah.
That runs kind of good.
Or are people just not going to fool? I mean, I wouldn't blame people or devs for not fooling with it, especially with the ubiquity of PCs these days. Like, really more so than ever, PCs are kind of having a bit of a renaissance. Mm-hmm. Where more people are playing PC games than ever, thanks to, say whatever you want. Fortnite helped make PC games like a big thing again. Twitch helped make PC games a big thing again. So it's just like, are they just gonna see devs just opting to not put it on Xbox? I don't know.
Part of me, like, I'm torn because on the one hand, I don't want Sony to lose competition.
Sure, yeah, it keeps them honest.
Because, honestly, Microsoft being as dog shit as it is right now is really helping Sony out because they get to show off all their cool shit and run laps around Microsoft.
I know, right?
And if there's no one to make fun of, then Sony might just kind of start slacking.
Right.
But on the other hand, it would be goddamn hilarious to see, like, just blatant, like, objective quality drops when you compare PS5 games to Xbox games. Like, here's screenshots of RE8 on Xbox and PS5, and it's like night and day.
Well, the thing is that, by all accounts, the Series X is the more powerful console of the two. But, like, what does it fucking matter if everything that gets put on Series X also has to function on the Lockhart, right?
Yeah.
Like, you'll never have a game come out on the Series X that uses the Series X to its full potential, because it also has to function on this gimped budget console.
It's like when P5 came out, and it had to run on the PS3, and then Royal came out, and it's like, holy shit, this is so much better. Oh, because they didn't have to make a gimped version for the old console.
Yeah, exactly, but you're doing that for an entire console.
Yeah,
like, your new console generation, you're basically putting it out already, like, with problems.
Yeah, the first year of this console, according to them, is like, yeah, we're not even bothering with, like, exclusives. It's like, why?
Why?
Well, then don't put out the console for a year.
Yeah, hold off. Or, I don't know. Just, I mean... I don't know. I don't know the answer here. It's bad. It sucks. It's stupid.
I just want to know why.
I would love to know why. I would love to have somebody, like, explain it and be like, this is our strategy for Xbox in the next 5 years. And maybe, like, they are actively trying to transition into a PC market, you know? I don't think so. Mostly because that's a good idea and Microsoft doesn't do good ideas. But, like, I would just love to hear, like, their reasoning behind the bizarre choices they've been making recently. And the fact that they just can't seem to get anything out in a timely manner. Like, damn.
I mean, I know there's a plague on, but...
Well, but I mean, like, this was happening before the plague fucking happened. I mean, look at Crackdown 3.
Yeah. Like, this year they have an excuse, but it's also, like, this has been happening.
The Xbox One X, not the Xbox Series X, because go fuck yourself, was supposed to launch with Crackdown 3, and then Crackdown 3 came out 6 months later. Like, they just can't... I don't know what... Like, the project management at Microsoft just seems like a nightmare by all accounts of people working with them. It sounds like people make games, and then, like, they make pretty far along games, and then they are told to present them to Microsoft, and then Microsoft says, hey, make a bunch of changes, and then that sets back dev time even longer, you know? Like, that didn't happen to the Outer Worlds, but that's because the Outer Worlds was mostly done by the time Xbox bought Obsidian. It's just weird.
Oh my god, I forgot they own Obsidian now.
Yeah, they own Obsidian now. But I'm not worried, because, like, any future Obsidian games, although, again, my ambivalence for the Outer Wilds is as vast as the ocean, any future Obsidian game is just going to still come out on PC, so it's like, well, I'm not worried about not getting to play Obsidian games, because they're all going to come out on Steam.
It's just, I forgot they bought them, because they haven't done anything big with them yet.
Yeah, they put out that, I guess Grounded is Grounded's out, right? People play Grounded, don't they?
Maybe?
I think people are playing Grounded now. I think Grounded came out.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
You'd think I would be more on top of video game news, but I mostly rely on Ben to tell me what's going on. Next!
Next. This article made me mad.
Oh, no.
I don't know. Kotaku, why did you put this out? Delisted Scott Pilgrim game still MIA, frustrating creators and fans. Yeah, we knew. You didn't have to remind us. We know that shit isn't available still.
We know. Why are you opening that wound again?
Why did you stab me?
You stabbed me in the same place Ubisoft stabbed me in years ago. How could you? It's like...
Fucking
why?
Goddamn.
Why remind us?
Brian Lee O'Malley was like tweeting like, no, they still haven't contacted me. And it's like, at least he has an excuse, because he probably gets asked that like every goddamn day. He's like, hey, when Ubisoft announces it, I'll be just as surprised as you are.
It's such... can I please just have the Anamanaguchi? Please? I would like to just have the Anamanaguchi blaring out of my PlayStation.
I want that good sprite work, please.
God, is it...
The movie
Why
just
do
had
you
like
keep reminding me of my sadness?
The movie just had like a big 10-year like get together, you know, fucking
Reunion?
Skype call, whatever thing.
Yeah.
Zoom meeting, you know, cast reunion thing that was cool, but it's like, can we just fucking get the game, please?
Can we please just get the game? Like the really good looking beat 'em up? Like, so it doesn't have to keep existing in limbo for the rest of eternity? Like, what's the problem here? You still own the rights to it. Just put it out.
Just do something.
Do something, because everybody hates Ubisoft right now. Do anything to earn yourself a little bit of public goodwill. It's not hard. I guess it's hard for Ubisoft. They don't know what goodwill even looks like. Do you see that fucking Tom Clancy trailer?
Oh my god, that's not on here, but like fucking...
Go fuck yourselves.
Tone deaf doesn't even begin to describe it.
I think it is actively malicious. I know that most people say don't attribute to malice what can be attributed to stupidity, but this is actively malicious.
This was on perp. There's no fucking way.
Yeah, no, this is trying to sell to, like, you know, the growing contingent of 19 to 28-year-old right-wing chuds who really love the idea, obviously, considering the horror show that is the news, love the idea of gunning down protesters. Mm-hmm. This isn't actively, like, this feels like this was made by, like, whoever is at Ubisoft who's like a for real fascist. Probably one of them.
Yeah, this is bad.
Yeah, no, fuck that shit. Fuck Ubisoft. Give us Scott Pilgrim and then leave me alone so I can never have to play another one of your games ever for the rest of my life. Maybe that's why they don't want to put Scott Pilgrim out, because they know once I get Scott Pilgrim, I'll just never buy another Ubisoft game again.
I mean, they made it pretty easy with that shit to just not make. I'm never buying an Ubisoft game again. Like,
yeah,
I never was going to, like, just because I didn't like their games output lately. But this is just like, oh, well, now it's just like a principled matter. Like,
yeah,
no matter
now
what,
I can just, no matter how interesting something you make looks.
It's like, oh, you had your chance to get me back in with a Prince of Persia game. Not anymore. I'm done with you.
I'm done. Fuck that shit. Yeah. So yeah, no thanks. I'm done. Fuck Ubisoft. And just to get that the end of show thing
and
out of the way now.
Thanks, Kotaku, for twisting the knife again. Speaking of companies doing dumb shit.
Oh no.
So Godzilla and Mothra were duking it out over the city the other day. Fortnite removed from App Store after it dodges Apple's rule on direct payments.
Womp womp.
So this was a long-standing thing where Epic Games clearly had this in the works.
Yeah.
Because they put out a whole parody of the
1984 app.
Yeah, the 1984, and
yeah,
fucking like had lawsuits over lawsuits lined up to go.
They had that's the thing though, and that's what's gonna fuck them in court. If they had just like done the thing instead of putting out like the stupid video, and I know that the video is a parody, like it's not serious, and they're not taking it seriously. The problem is that a judge is gonna look at it and be like, this was a publicity stunt. They're gonna side with Apple, you know? Like, I don't know. It feels like a bad way to get a judge on your side. Even though I am actually on Epic. I don't like Epic, for the record. I don't really feel a lot of corporate loyalty to anybody, but especially to a billion-dollar company. But that being said, I do think Apple is more in the wrong than Epic, mostly because, you know, companies like Apple and Steam, the only one who isn't taking as much money is, hey, Epic Game Store.
Hey, remember we talked about that a few months ago.
Remember how they said they only take a 12% cut compared to basically everybody else taking 30%. And I mean, there were actual game devs on Twitter saying like, Apple makes more money off of my video game than I do, or Steam makes more money off of my video game than I do, because like they don't have development costs you know, you have to offset the development costs with your revenue that like Steam and Apple don't have. Sony, for that record, they don't have to worry about that. They just take the money. So they ultimately can end up making more money off of a game than developers who have to recoup the loss that comes, like the natural loss that comes with developing a video game, right? So like, as much as I hate Epic, we do live in a society, and in the current society that we live in, the only people who are financially equipped to knock down Apple's cut is Epic. So like, I kind of have to, in this case, say like, yeah, no, I think Epic is actually in the right. I would like to see them win, but doing this shit with the 1984 parody and the having lawsuits all ready to go thing is not great optics for a judge, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe they've got a strong enough case.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Just seems like a bad idea.
It was a weird thing to be like, how dare you make me root for Epic?
How dare you make me actually want Tim Sweeney to succeed at anything in life. I hate that man. But it is what it is. And I always think devs should get paid more money for the labor they actually do, instead of companies just taking an exorbitant cut of that labor. Because I like workers getting paid.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing. So I guess in this case I have to root for the billion-dollar company. Gross. Wash my mouth out with soap.
Ick.
Horrible. Vile.
So that's a fun thing to see developing.
What's next?
Let's see here. In lighter news, Microsoft Flight Simulator's terrain glitches are excellent places to visit. This is the best. It makes me want to play Flight Sim, even though I know I'd probably just constantly crash into the earth. So this is great because, like, so if you aren't paying attention, people, Flight Simulator is doing a thing where they use Bing Maps to auto-generate terrain.
Yes, so they can have the entire world mapped.
Yeah. What this does sometimes is that sometimes the AI gets a little confused as to what certain things should be. Now, they did say they went into, like, for some certain monuments, like the Statue of Liberty, the Eiffel Tower, they did go in and have someone manually model those out.
Right.
Didn't quite go and do that for everything.
Buckingham Palace is now infinitely cooler.
It's now a bunch of apartments, which is dope.
I need you to cut the anthem of the Soviet Union into the background of the podcast when we're talking about this, because it's like, yes, replace Buckingham Palace with affordable housing for everyone. It's deeply brutalist affordable housing. I love it. It's great.
Some other things include stuff like the AI not really knowing what to do with certain freeways or bridges.
Sure.
And turning them into buildings that cars just drive up the side of.
Yes. Oh yeah, like there's a building in Boston, I think, where like the road goes through the building. I don't know how it works because I've never actually seen the building in person. But apparently the road goes through the building, but the AI didn't know what to do with that. So like you said, it just makes the cars drive up the side of the building like it's a road, which is excellent.
So because, like I said, because this is based off of Bing Maps, searches and how, the satellite projection of that, which means that due to a mistake, a glitch in the mapping in Bing Maps, there is now an impossibly narrow and tall obelisk in Melbourne.
Yes! Melbourne Timothy Grew.
That just juts out into the sky.
212 stories instead of 2.
Which is amazing.
I want to live it. I hope they never patch any of this, or I hope there's an option to just play the game the way it came out when it was launched.
Let us roll back the patches to original.
Yes.
So the subreddit for Microsoft Flight Sim is posting stuff. There's one where someone's football stadium was turned into a neighborhood.
Yes!
So there's just houses on the field.
Oh, God. I love it!
Roads that, because of some wonky mapping for altitude, roads that just jut straight up.
I know there are like extremely eerie cliffs up in the Arctic Circle that just go thousands of feet into the air and are just like sheer drops. And it's like,
bridges that are underwater.
Great. Perfect. I love it. Thank you. Never stop. I love this like strange like dream world that's been invented by Flight Sim.
What I would love to see is sim games like this. I thought about this while playing Ghost of Tsushima, and kind of wandering around the environment and looking at all the stuff and seeing the day-night cycle. And I was like, what if you made a walking, or like an open world sim game like this, or like a flight sim or whatever, and you didn't mention it to anyone, but the sun rose in the north and set in the south. Yeah. Just, it's not something you would really notice, because like it's a day-night cycle, whatever, who's really paying attention, right?
Right.
But then someone's eventually gonna notice.
Right.
And they're gonna wonder what the fuck is going on.
I would love an entire open world game that was kind of built out with the same philosophy as whatever the fuck is going on in Flight Sim, where you model the world, like you have like the world itself planned out, like the road goes here and the towns are here, but then you say, hey, Mr. Artificial Intelligence, you tell us what goes in these spots, you know?
I want the game equivalent of writing a script, running it through a language translator, and running it back.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's more or less accurate, and you can get the gist of it, but
it's just a little off.
You're gonna notice a few things that don't quite add up at first.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. Like, bridges underwater, or strange, impossibly sheer cliffs. I feel like you could get like a very cool, dreamlike open world if you just asked an AI to tell you, like, what, hey, Mr. AI, what's this big bump in the map? And like, because you're a human being who can like think logically, you're like, this is a mountain. But the AI is like, well, this is clearly a pond that goes 700 feet into the air and is surrounded by rock on all sides. And it's like, excellent, I love it, thank you. It's perfect.
Not everywhere.
Not everywhere, no, because again, the AI does know, like, but this building with 4 sides and a pointy top is a house, right?
But in some places, you might see something weird. I would love it. I would
live in that game. Yes.
And it's just a big exploration thing, and there's no like landmarks or like checkpoints or anything. You just wander and you find shit.
You find weird shit and you catalog it. It's like Pokemon, but for strange AI hiccups.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, it would be amazing.
Please.
I love it.
Please more.
Just like, I think I talked about this in the podcast, but like one of my greatest phobias would be it's the back rooms.
It's the back rooms, absolutely.
It would be like one of my biggest...
Encountering a glitch in the real world.
Yeah, encountering like a low frame rate in the real world, or someone clips through a wall in the real world. Would be my nightmare.
Sure, absolutely.
And this is it, and I'm like obsessed with this idea of a world that's almost perfect.
But it's just off enough, like everybody moved your furniture 2 inches to the left. Perfect. All right, what's next?
Next, presenting PlayStation's first global ad spot showcasing key immersive features for PS5 console generation. They're talking about some cool shit with this controller.
The haptic feedback on the controller sounds extremely neat.
I think this is dope. This is what, like, you never really thought about, like, we're gonna evolve the rumble feature.
Yeah,
it's
a thing that you don't really consider needing changed, because, like, rumble is just rumble. You kind of use it as a...
It's a brief little haptic feedback to kind of, like, jolt you into, a little bit more immersion. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're talking about stuff with Miles Morales, where it's like, the spider sense will indicate which side of the controller danger is on.
That's so cool.
Or, like, it's going to have different, like, vibration, different, like, pattern for, like, his different abilities and stuff. Mm-hmm. Just, like, really, really cool shit like that.
Deathloop is talking about if your gun jams in the game, your trigger won't press down, which I think is just...
Oh, my God.
I know. It's literally like it can actually lock your trigger in place to keep it from firing, which I think is just great.
That is dope.
It's so cool. I know. I love it.
Can you imagine what they're going to do for, like, horror games with this?
Oh, I know. And because especially there is an 80% chance that Sony is making a Silent Hill game. Like, there's just enough rumors coming out from all directions. We haven't seen anything yet, but it seems pretty likely that Sony is working on a Silent Hill game.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is great. Like, yes, absolutely, give me a Sony Silent Hill.
I mean, I still clap like a seal when the controller does, like, a cool thing with its speaker.
Yeah, exactly. Anytime, like my AI character talks to me through my, through my speaker in my controller instead of, like, on the screen, I'm like, yay! It's like magic.
Fucking, No More Heroes 1 on the Wii did it the coolest, where, before every boss fight, Sylvia calls you on the phone. Mm-hmm. And the phone call comes through the Wii remote speaker. You have to hold it up to your ear like a real phone.
Magnificent. I love it.
Super cool. Like, this,
great.
Again, this is the kind of shit that Sony's doing that Microsoft is just like
twiddling their thumbs.
Yeah.
Like, it's like it's go ahead. It's
that scene from The Simpsons where Homer is the secretary out in front of Mr. Burns' office, and it's on fire, and he just, like, he's twiddling his thumbs, and he looks over at the fire, then he looks back to twiddling his thumbs.
Oh my god, yeah. It's interesting though, because Nerl is a guy on YouTube who talks a lot about, like, motion controls and, like, why they died and how they died. And he talked pretty extensively about the Steam controller, a thing that I have actually put my hands on and I hate. But it did have a neat concept because it has a gyro aim inside the Steam controller. And what people started to do is, especially because the Steam now has a pretty robust controller customization system. And one of the things people have been doing is the actual camera control, like in a first-person shooter, right?
Mm-hmm.
The actual camera control stays mapped to your thumbstick, to the right thumbstick, the way it's always been.
Right.
But aiming is handled by the gyro, because aiming with the gyro is one of the most accurate ways to aim. Like, once you kind of practice it with it a little, it's actually still more accurate than MKB. Because it just feels more naturalistic, and it's like, oh, that's really cool. And so people have been more and more been able to, because there's also a gyro built into the DualShock 4, people have been able to get that work with like PC versions of like Metal Gear Solid and like MGS5 and stuff like that. And so you can aim with the gyro instead. And then, Microsoft took the gyro. They never did anything with it.
God, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's extremely cool. It's super accurate, very interesting.
See, this is the kind of innovation that they're going to start doing now that graphics are becoming diminishing returns.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, they're going to have to branch out into making the experience more authentic and more immersive in other ways, like controller feedback and, you know, that, like, all that kind of stuff is just like the way you have to move forward now.
So, and Sony hasn't given up on their VR platform, which, I mean, I still haven't had a chance to actually play with the Sony VR. I would like to, but they're still a little out of my budget. My living room is too small.
Yeah,
but by all accounts, apparently their VR is pretty good for like a budget VR, you know?
VR is slowly getting more reasonable that someone might want to get it and like be an active like participant in playing VR games.
Yeah.
I think like Half-Life Alyx actually turned out to be really good. I admittedly was like, who cares? It's a VR game. But then, you know, seeing it in action, I'm like, okay, well, this is actually pretty good.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting... I was super down on Half-Life Alyx. I still kind of am, because I'm just bitter. I'm mostly just bitter about In the Valley of the Gods putting on indefinite hiatus so that the extremely talented development crew for that game is now in the Half-Life mines. Obviously, I'm still a little sore about that, if you can't tell. But in terms of what's going on with the systems in that game, I think it's really interesting, and it's done a lot to make people realize that, like, oh, you can do some really cool shit with VR, actually.
Yeah.
You can do... There's a lot of, like, really common things in video games that Half-Life Alyx completely recontextualizes in like a really, really interesting way. Like even the concept of not letting your hands bump into, like there's a monster in Half-Life Alyx that pursues you through sound, which is like a super common thing in video games, right? Mm-hmm. But the deal is that like you are being pursued by this monster who can only track you through sound in a vodka bottling plant. And so the conceit is you cannot knock over any of these bottles.
Oh my god, that's so good.
But it's, and with like a thumbstick, you know, that's pretty easy. Mm-hmm. You just kind of, you're so used to it, it's an easy thing to guide. But like, you have to do this with your physical human being hands.
That's
like,
amazing.
So you have to like be very careful and extremely aware of your own body. In like a way that other first-person games just can't for obvious reasons, because there's always going to be that disconnect between you and the game via the controller. So like hearing that story alone has really scratched my interest in VR. I'm like, oh, okay, we're getting to the place now where VR is becoming more and more of a realistic possibility. The only hurdle is still, it makes a lot of people throw up.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of people throw up. The reason that in like in Half-Life Alyx and stuff like that, you don't walk in those games. You pick a place and you kind of teleport to it in like a little flash. And it's a way to cut down on motion sickness. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's a hurdle to really get over.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
It's a difficult... There's going to be people who just like straight up can't play VR because they'll pass out and die.
Yeah, I already know people who can't play first-person shooters because it makes them want to throw up, and that's just a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
So
Willie Madden infamously could not play a lot of first-person shooters.
Really?
Because of that, yeah.
That's amazing. Didn't he just play Doom Eternal?
I think he's gotten better at it over time, but like he was like, yeah, you remember I remember him talking about that extensively back in the old days, where he was like, yeah, I can't do first-person shooters because they just make me sick.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Again, the Outer Wilds, thank you, famously made me feel like I was gonna throw up, because of the weirdness of horizon lines and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, like, yeah, I totally get it. I cannot imagine. I would like to play a real VR game to see my tolerance for it. I'm a little worried. I feel like I might buy like a PSVR and then just immediately barf all over my living room. So We'll see. We got off on a tangent.
We
Ben,
did.
what were we even talking about?
The PS5 controller is super cool, and I can't wait for the PS5.
Yeah, I'm still extremely excited about the PS5. Please tell me how much it's going to cost and when I
Yeah.
can pre-order it. Thank you.
We've had this conversation for like 3 months now. Every
Literally
roundup, it's
every
like,
single time the roundup happens. Yeah.
Can we get a price yet? No.
No. Please, someone tell me how much the system is going to cost. I'm going to buy it almost no matter what. But
Yeah.
please.
There was that, I didn't put the article in here, but there was that thing where they're like, sign up to get your pre-order, and it's I did, like an idiot.
I know, like a moron. I'm like, yes, I will pre-order a pre-order. But I would like to just be told when, so that I can have, like, you know, an Amazon browser open, or so I can be hanging out outside of GameStop the day of. Something like that.
Give me one now. I don't care how much it is. Tell me how much it is. Here's my pre-order. Tell me how much it is.
I'm just an idiot. I just really want a PS5, man. I'm ready for it.
Is this simping?
This is simping. We are simping for the PS5. It's true.
God.
All right, what else?
A few more here. Round up all the games from the Nintendo Indie World Showcase for August. Hades is coming out on the Switch.
Yay!
A bunch of other indie games. They had that really, really cool trailer.
That's Spencer Wan. He does animation for Castlevania.
Cool.
Yes, that's a Castlevania animator. I think he started his own studio.
That is dope.
So yeah, that's why it looks so cool.
A bunch of other cool games that got announced are coming to Switch. Untitled Goose Game is getting co-op.
Yes!
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Super great. A Short Hike is coming to Switch.
Good. That's a cute game. I love that game.
Torchlight 3, Takashi and Hiroshi looked pretty interesting to me. It's a stop-motion RPG.
Oh, cute. Okay.
I don't know much about, like, how it plays or anything, but, like, the design looked really cool. There's a game that looks interesting called Hypnospace Outlaw, which is, quote, a 90s internet simulator.
Isn't that in the BLM bundle?
I think it might be.
Yeah, I think it is. Hold on. Where is my hip? No. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it isn't. I don't know.
It sounds familiar.
Like it sounds extremely familiar, but maybe I'm thinking of something else. I don't know.
Devolver Digital's putting out a game called Card Shark, which is a card trick simulator.
Oh my god.
A card cheat simulator where you play poker and cheat.
Oh my god. Excellent. Good.
Yeah, just a bunch of other cool, like, indie titles and stuff coming out. I like when Nintendo does these. They do a good job of, like, promoting indie games, like, giving them, like, time to shine like this.
Right.
So that was that. This one's fun. I'm gonna read you the headline, and then I'm going to read the synopsis, and you tell me where it goes wrong.
Oh no.
Resident Evil live-action series confirmed by Netflix with first details. So here is the official synopsis from Netflix, and I want you to stop me when it goes wrong, okay?
Okay.
In the first timeline, 14-year-old sisters Jade and Billy Wesker are moved
Stop! 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 What? Excuse me? What?
This
feels like a joke. When I saw this on Twitter,
yeah,
I thought they were kidding. I was like, haha, funny joke, Netflix. Now, where's the actual synopsis for the Resident Evil TV show? Oh, this is it. Oh, no.
So I want to keep reading because this synopsis is jaw-dropping.
Oh, my God.
14-year-old sisters Jade and Billy Wesker are moved to New Raccoon City, a manufactured corporate town forced on them right as adolescence is in full swing. But the more time they spend there, the more they come to realize the town is far more than it seems, and their father may be concealing dark secrets that could destroy
Yeah, okay, Albert Wesker might be hiding a couple dark secrets.
Cut to the second timeline. Well over a decade into the future, there are less than 15 million people left on Earth, and there are more than 6 billion monsters, people and animals infected with the T-virus.
What the fuck?
Jade, now 30, struggles to survive in this new world while the secrets from her past about her sister, her father, and herself continue to haunt her.
Okay, so...
Wait. Hold on. In the first timeline, 14-year-old sisters, Jade and Billy.
Yes.
Cut to the well over a decade. I thought they just said a decade later.
No, well over a decade.
No, that doesn't add up.
Just say 15 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is dumb.
It sounds like a parody. It sounds like a parody of... My voice is going. It sounds like if you were to make a fake TV show based off of a video game, like as a bit, as a Simpsons bit, you know, back when the Simpsons was good. This is what you would produce.
Someone on Twitter said, "This is an armchair dev's pitch."
It is an armchair dev's pitch. Oh my god. Oh, I hate it. Oh, it's abysmal. It just feels like what is so hard about Special Forces investigate a freaky manor and they're zombies.
This is worse than whatever the Fallout pitch is going to be. Oh, because you know the Fallout pitch is going to be bad, right?
It's going to be bad, but it'll still be set almost certainly in a post-apocalyptic wasteland.
It'll look like Fallout.
Yeah, again, because like I've said before, Fallout only has aesthetic signifiers left. But
this isn't Resident Evil. This is just a zombie story.
This is not Resident Evil. This is Stranger Things.
This is Stranger Things meets The Walking Dead.
Yeah, absolutely. So
it's not the appeal of Resident Evil, and I think you and I have talked a lot about this. That part of the appeal of Resident Evil is, again, for one thing, besides 8, all your characters, unlike other survival horror games, have reasons to be good at fighting.
Right. They're
Special Forces members or characters like Claire, who were obviously, taught to fight by her brother. Mm-hmm. She's a motorcycle rider. She owns a gun. She's knows
cool.
how to handle herself. You look at RE3 or RE0, where you have a guy who's like a criminal, so he's obviously got combat skills.
Yeah.
Or they're all members of STARS, who are our Special Forces team.
Yeah, it's just what is so okay, Special Forces investigate a spooky manor. There's zombies and some science shit is going down. Cool. Yeah. Or zombie outbreak in Raccoon City leading up to the events of Resident Evil 2. Jill Valentine is there in the background sometimes, but it's about other people trying to get out of Raccoon City alive, even though I know the crux is that nobody survives Raccoon City except for a handful of people.
Yeah.
But you can retcon that just a little bit. There's so many little tiny stories that would slot perfectly into Resident Evil that you could do a whole TV show around. Not even a big TV show. How long is your average season of fucking Stranger Things? 11 episodes?
It's 8, 9 episodes, and they're all an hour long, but that's it.
But it doesn't have to be a huge 26 episode long, full season run,
If it were just characters go into a weird town and there's zombies in this town, it turns out, that would be fine. I hate the twin daughters of Albert Wesker thing.
That's
a lot.
Fucking dog shit. That's the part that makes it feel like a joke.
Right,
you don't understand. You've never played a Resident Evil in your life.
The annoying thing is that there already is a canon son of Wesker.
Wesker's got a kid!
He already has one.
Do. It's right there. It's literally right there.
It's the post-apocalypse setting that really just made me want to die.
Oh, I know.
Because I've said this before, the appeal for Resident Evil to me is that it's this long, compilation work basically,
right?
That spans literal in-universe decades, and it's all contained. It's a single mansion. It's a city or a town.
Like, the interesting thing about Resident Evil is that, like, zombie outbreaks happen, but they don't end the world. Like, that's the interesting thing about Resident Evil that sets it apart from other zombie fiction, you know?
And there's an organization that exists that can cover it all up.
Right.
And that's what makes it so appealing, is that it's like, that it allows you to constantly have new characters come in and go, what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a different, more interesting dynamic because, like, every other piece of zombie fiction focuses on, like, for better or for worse, every other piece of zombie fiction focuses on the apocalyptic nature of it. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what sets Resident Evil apart from it and makes it so interesting, is that it's like, yeah, zombie outbreaks happen, but the world doesn't end because, like, you know, as we've learned in 2020, pandemics don't mean the end of the world. Like, very rarely, you know? It's like, it signals, like, a change in the status quo, maybe, but, like, apocalyptic scenarios are actually extremely hard to make happen, because generally speaking, people want to keep living.
Yeah.
And so, like, to me, that's what gave Resident Evil its uniqueness. And every time these fucking TV and movie adaptations are like, JK, the apocalypse happens, it's like, you missed the point.
Yeah,
I know you missed the point because you said the teenage daughters of Albert Wesker, but you missed the point.
So, and here's the other thing about this, is this supposed to be an adaptation of the games, or is it its own separate universe?
I assume it's its own separate universe, because, like,
are we going to see Jill and Claire and Leon and Chris in this?
God, I hope not.
Or is it like this has big Saturday morning version of an R-rated movie?
Oh my god.
Where it's like, we can't really, like, one for one do it, so, like, we have to introduce a kid sidekick, and they have a jetpack now.
It's kind of like how the Mighty Ducks sports movie got turned into a TMNT knockoff.
Yeah, yes, that's exactly it.
It's exactly that, where it's like, you don't know what property you're adapting, do you? You just kind of took a property and slapped its, like, signifiers on it.
You, like, yeah, you don't really, like, get what you're doing.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that, like, the Fallout TV series is going to be a clusterfuck. But I do have the feeling that the people working on it, especially because there are, like, Westworld people involved, do know what they're working on. Now, the problem is
Fallout.
that the problem is that the Fallout they know they're working on is, like, Fallout 4 and Fallout 76 and Fallout 3, right? So it is inherently flawed from the word go, but they still understand, God willing, they still, like, wrap their head around, like, this is what to us Fallout is, and they know what a Fallout is, you know?
Yeah. It
does not feel like anybody involved with this Resident Evil TV show knows what a Resident Evil is.
Yeah, they got a book of synopses, and they went, well, why don't we do this instead?
Somebody in the writer's room saw 15 minutes of one of the Mila Jovovich movies, and that's it.
Yeah, and then they watched Stranger Things, and they were like, oh, we can do this.
Let's just make Stranger Things again. That was a hit, right?
I can't think of anything I want to watch less than, like, a kid version of protagonists.
Yeah, child protagonists in Resident Evil just feels really, like, antithetical again to Resident Evil's appeal. Like, there are kids in Resident Evil, but they're not the focus. They're just kind of there on the side, you know? Everybody in Resident Evil is decisively, like, in their 20s. Like, I know Claire is pretty young, but I think she's still, like, 19, 20, 21 in RE2, right? Like, she's not...
Yeah.
If she's a teenager, she's a late teenager. Because she's riding around on a motorcycle and she has her own gun. Like, she's not a child.
I'm just looking at when the Wesker kids moved to New Raccoon City, and I just want to die.
It just feels like a joke. I genuinely thought when I saw the tweet from NX, which is Netflix's sci-fi Twitter account, I saw it and I was like, oh, funny joke, haha, like April Fool's Day, except in the middle of August. That's cute. No! Oh my god! They're being serious about this. This is actually what they think a Resident Evil adaptation should look and sound like. Okay. So, bad. Very bad.
Very bad. This is what they're working on instead of Devil May Cry again.
Again, we are never gonna get the Devil May Cry anime. It's never gonna happen. We're getting Berserk 2017 again, and we're getting a Saturday morning cartoon version of Resident Evil. This is fine.
Incredible.
I just want my Devil May Cry anime. Why does this keep happening? I'm just gonna go watch the other Devil May Cry anime now.
Just go watch, and by that you mean Rise.
Yeah, of course. I'm just gonna watch Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles again. That's fine. That'll actually make me feel happy at least until I remember that there's not gonna be any more of it.
No, that movie's coming out. They just tweeted.
Yeah, they did show that. Speaking of scripts that got showed on Twitter, they did show that one shot of the title page of the Rise movie. So I have something to look forward to. I can take that gun out of my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Ben, do we have any other news?
No, that's it. We're done.
All right, 2 hours. We did it. Yeah.
All right.
Do the outro.
So that'll do it for us. Thanks, you visitor, for research background music. You can follow me on Twitter at thegorgepodcast. You can follow Sara at radioinactivity. You can email us at thegorgepodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to listen to Sara talk about good superheroes instead of bad superheroes like we did earlier, you can listen to her other podcast.
Hey, I'm in another podcast called Big Gay Nerds, where me and a bunch of cool queer friends get together and we play tabletop games. We try out lots of different systems. We have a lot of fun. Right now, we have just started our Masks campaign, which, as been implied, is a story about young superheroes fumbling their way through a city full of superheroes and trying to find their place and getting arrested along the way. It's a lot of fun. We've been looking forward to this specific campaign for like 6 months now. And you can tell in the way we play, because we're all just extremely jazzed to be there. So yeah, come check us out. We're at Big Gay Nerds on SoundCloud, and you can find the links to the rest of our social media from there. Thanks.
Alright, that'll do it for us. Fuck Ubisoft for that. That was horrible.
Fuck Ubisoft. Fuck whoever at Capcom, like, fucking approved that Resident Evil show. Fuck them. Fuck Adi Shankar for not making my Devil May Cry anime faster. Fuck Nickelodeon for not renewing Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I have a long list of grievances I could air, but those are the big ones that are standing out to me. Fuck Zack Snyder and his saying that, like, his cut of the Justice League is for adults. I hate you so much. Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Media is a mess. Somebody please tell me how much the PlayStation 5 is going to cost.
Please. Just give me a number.
Give me one number. Just give me the number it starts with. That's it.
That's all I need.
Just be like, here's a 5, and I'll be like, yay! And if it's 500, then cool. If it's $5.99, fine. Somebody just tell me something, please.
Good night, everyone.